we discussed till 38 shloka. It was about a spontaneous devotional service, and 39 and 40 was the non-spontaneous love, that is Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. Fine. Now 41. Nanyatra mad bhagavataha pradhana purusheshwarat atmanah sarvabhutatnam bhayam tibram nivartate. Nanyatra mad bhagavataha pradhana purusheshwarat atmanah sarvabhutanam bhayam tibram nivartate. नान्यत्र मद भगवतः प्रधान पुरुषेश्वरात् आत्मनः सर्वभूतानां भयं तीव्रं निवर्तते. Word to word meaning: na, not, anyatra, otherwise, mat, then myself, bhagavataha, the supreme personality of Godhead, Pradhana Purusha Ishvara, the Lord of both Prakriti and Purusha, Atmanaha, the soul, Sarva Bhutanam, of all living beings, Bhayam, fear, Tibram, terrible, Nivartate is forsaken. The translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation: the terrible fear of birth and death can never be forsaken by anyone who resorts to any shelter other than myself. Oh, what is it? Lord Kapila is saying, the terrible fear of birth and death can never be forsaken. For whom? By anyone who resorts to any shelter other than myself. Other than myself, if somebody takes any shelter, then he is not given freedom from birth and death. Okay. Why? Because I am the Almighty Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, the original source of all creation, and also the supreme soul of all souls. Okay. So, except by devotion to me as Krishna Bhagavan, Ram, the Lord of Vaikuntha, or by devotion to the Purusha avatars, intense fear in material world cannot be stopped. Okay. I am Bhagavan, the Lord of the universe. I am the Lord who is the Swami, Lord over both Prakriti and Purusha. Prakriti and Purusha. Prakriti means nature, Purusha means the Lord or the Vishnu, primordial Lord. I am the Atma of all beings, Paramatma. No one else except me can ensure the release of the Jiva, the soul, from the intense fear of death. So there is only one shelter. Only by bhakti to Krishna can one overcome material fear. Otherwise there is no way. Prabhupada is saying that it is indicated herein that the cycle of birth and death cannot be stopped unless one is a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord. Unless one is pure devotee of Krishna, the cycle of birth and death cannot be stopped. It is said, Harim bina na mritim taranti. Okay, this line we can note from scriptures. Harim bina na mritim taranti. One cannot surpass the cycle of birth and death unless one is favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The same concept is confirmed here with one may take to the system of understanding the absolute truth by one's own imperfect sensory speculation, or one may try to realize the self by the mystic yoga, that is jnana and yoga. But whatever one may do, whether he is performing jnana yoga or ashtanga yoga or whatever, mystic yoga or anything, unless he comes, whatever one may do, unless he comes to the point of surrendering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, no process can give him liberation. Okay, so that's very clear. No process can give him liberation unless he comes to okay, so unless one comes to the point of surrendering to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, no process can give him liberation. Very clear sentence it is. It's not somewhere, it's not like some hidden meaning, it's direct. Lord is saying here that if you are not surrendering to me, you can never get free from birth and death. One may ask if this means that those who are undergoing so much penance and austerity by strictly following the rules and regulations are endeavoring in vain. The answer is given by Srimad Bhagavatam 10.2.32. Ye anye arvindaksha vimuktamanina. Lord Brahma and other demigods prayed to the Lord when Krishna was in the womb of Devaki. What they prayed? My dear lotus-eyed Lord, there are persons who are puffed up with the thought that they have become liberated or one with God or have become God. O Krishna, there are people who are puffed up with the thought that they have become liberated or they have become one with the God or they have become God only. But in spite of thinking in such a puffed up way, their intelligence is not laudable, they are less intelligent. Everyone is saying, the demigods, Brahma and other demigods are praying to Krishna like this. So, it is stated that their intelligence, whether high or low, is not even purified. In purified intelligence, a living entity cannot think otherwise than to surrender. If somebody's intelligence is purified, he will think only about surrender to Krishna. Okay. Bhagavad Gita therefore confirms that purified intelligence arises in the person of a very wise man. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanvan mam prapadyate Vasudev sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. After many births, one who is actually advanced in intelligence, that person surrenders unto Krishna, the Supreme Lord. After many births. So without the surrendering process, one cannot achieve liberation. The Bhagavatam says, those who are simply puffed up, thinking themselves liberated by some non-devotional process, and becoming puffed up that they are liberated and are not polished or have clear in intelligence, they are not clear in intelligence, for they have not yet surrendered unto you. Why it is like that? Because they have not surrendered unto Krishna. So that is why they are puffed up and they are not clear in their intelligence. So in spite of executing all kinds of austerities and penances, or even arriving at the brink of spiritual realization in Brahman realization, they think that they are in the effulgence of Brahman. But actually, they think they are in the effulgence of Brahman, but actually, because they have no transcendental activities, they fall down to material activities. Okay. One should not be satisfied simply with knowing that one is Brahman. he must engage himself in the service of the Supreme Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi, so I am the soul, that is fine, but that is not enough. Why? Because one should engage himself or herself in the service of Supreme Brahman, Parabrahman. That is bhakti. The engagement of Brahman should be the service of Parabrahman. So Brahman and Parabrahman. So Brahman should serve Parabrahman. So the only engagement for Brahman is to serve the Parabrahman. It is said that unless one becomes Brahman, one cannot serve Brahman. So the Supreme Brahman is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the living entity is also Brahman. So Supreme Person is Supreme Brahman, Personality of Godhead, and the living entity is also Brahman. But living entity is Brahman and Krishna is Super Brahman, Parabrahma. Okay, so without realization that he is Brahman, spirit soul and eternal servitor of the Lord, so without this realization that one is a Brahman and the eternal servitor of Krishna, if one simply thinks that he is Brahman, his realization is only theoretical. Okay, he is only on theoretical level. He does not have practical realization. No, because when practically one realizes that he is Brahman, he is spirit, soul, then he realizes that he is also the eternal servitor of Krishna, and his duty is to serve Krishna. Okay, so he has to realize and at the same time engage. He has to realize and at the same time engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord. Then he can exist in the Brahman status. So he has to realize and at the same time engage. Engagement is very important. So he has to engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord. So if anybody is not having any engagement, he will not be able to stay in that Brahman platform more. Okay, he will fall down. So then if somebody is not engaged in the service of Krishna, he will fall down. So we should find engagement. We have to have engagement of Krishna's service. So then he can exist in the Brahman status. Otherwise he falls down. Prabhupada is saying. The Bhagavatam says that because non-devotees neglect the transcendental loving service of the lotus feet of Krishna, the personality of Godhead, their intelligence is not sufficient and therefore these persons fall down. The living entity must have some activity. If he does not engage in the activity of transcendental service, he must fall down to material activity, because he must have activity. If he is not engaged in the Krishna service, then he will fall down to material Maya service. So as soon as one falls down to material activity, there is no rescue from the cycle of birth and death. So as soon as one falls down from in the Maya's activity, he comes in this cycle of birth and death. It is stated here by Lord Kapila, without my mercy, nanyatra mad bhagavataha. Without my mercy, the Lord is stated here to, without my mercy, nobody can be there eternally. Okay, there is no rescue from the cycle of birth and death. So the Lord is stated here to be Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, indicating that he is full of all opulences and is therefore perfectly competent to deliver one from the cycle of birth and death. He is Bhagavan, he can deliver from the cycle of birth and death. He is also called Pradhana because he is the Supreme. He is equal to everyone, but to one who surrenders to him, he is especially favorable. He gives equal favor to everyone, but the one who surrenders to Krishna, Krishna is especially favorable towards him. It is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Sammoham Sarvabhutesu, that the Lord is equal to everyone. No one is his enemy and no one is his friend. But To one who surrenders unto Krishna, Krishna is especially inclined towards him. By the grace of Krishna, simply by surrendering unto Krishna, one can get out of this cycle of birth and death. By the grace of Krishna and simply by surrendering unto Krishna, one can easily get out of this cycle of birth and death. Otherwise, one may go in many lives and many times attempt other processes for liberation. Okay. So the point here is that Lord Kapila is saying, you have to only surrender to me, you have to worship me, you have to do service to me, Krishna. That's it. Now, question comes. Okay. What is the question? Question is, won't the Devatas become angry if one just worships you? If one worships only Krishna, what about Devatas? Will they not be angry on us? Okay. So for that question, the answer comes now. This question may be raised. That acha, we will worship only Krishna, then what about other Devatas? They will become angry on us. They will create problem for us. Right? So let us see 42. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, 42. To answer this thing, that if I worship only Krishna, what about Devatas? They will be angry on me or not? So what is the solution? So 42 shloka, 3.25.42. Madbhayadvati vato ayam suryastapati madbhayat varshatindro dahati agnir mrityushcharati madbhayat. Very beautiful shloka. Madbhayat vati vato ayam suryastapati madbhayat varshatindro dahati agnir mrityushcharati madbhayat. Wow. Madbhayat vati vato ayam suryastapati madbhayat varshatindro dahati agnir mrityushcharati madbhayat. Very beautifully Lord Kapila is explaining. Madbhayat, out of fear of me. Vati blows, vata wind. I am this Suryaha, the sun. Tapati shines. Madbhayat, out of fear of me. Varshati showers rain. Indra dahati burns. Agni fire. Mrityu death. Charati goes. Madbhayat, out of fear of me. Translation. So Lord Kapila is saying, it is because of my supremacy that the wind blows. Out of fear of me, the sun shines. Out of fear of me, and the Lord of the clouds, Indra, sends forth showers, rain out of fear of me. Okay. It is because of my supremacy that the wind blows out of fear of me. Madbhayat, the sun shines out of fear of me. And the Lord of the clouds, Indra, sends rain out of fear of me. Fire burns out of fear of me, and death goes about taking its toll out of fear of me. Even Mrityu Charati, even death is working under because of my fear. Okay, so out of fear of me, the wind blows. Out of fear of me, the sun shines. Out of fear of me, Indra pours rain and fire burns. And out of fear of me, death flees. So this is the, only out of fear of Krishna everything is working. Indra, Chandra, Varuna. Okay. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that the natural laws being enacted are correct in all activities because of His superintendence. Okay. Everything is working fine. Why? Because Krishna is the head. Maya Dakshin Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam. All the Prakriti nature is working under my supervision. Krishna is saying. So no one should think that nature is working automatically without superintendence. The Vedic literature says that the clouds are controlled by the demigod Indra. Heat is distributed by the sun god. The soothing moonlight is distributed by Chandra, and the air is blowing under the arrangement of the demigod Vayu. But above all the demigods, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the chief living entity. Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. The demigods are also ordinary living entities, but due to their faithfulness, their devotional service attitude, they have been promoted to such posts. These different demigods or directors such as Chandra, Varuna and Vayu are called Adhikari Devta. That means the demigods or departmental heads. The demigods of the Supreme Lord consist not only of one planet or two or three, there are millions of planets and millions of universes. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has a huge government and he requires assistance. The demigods are considered his bodily limbs. So these are the descriptions of Vedic literature. Under these circumstances, the sun god, the moon god, the fire god and the air god are working under the direction of Krishna, the Supreme Lord. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Maya Adhyakshen Prakriti Suyate Sa Characharam. The natural laws are being conducted under Krishna's superintendence. Because Krishna is in the background, everything is being performed punctually and regularly. So one who has taken shelter of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is completely protected from all other influences. He no longer serves or is obliged to anyone else. If one surrenders to Krishna, takes complete shelter of Krishna, then he is not at all obliged to anyone else. Of course, he is not disobedient to anyone, but his full power of thought is absorbed in the service of the Lord. The statements by the Supreme Personality of Godhead Kapila that under his direction the air is blowing, the fire is burning and the sun is giving heat are not sentimental. These things are not sentimental, just out of sentiment he said. No. The impersonalists may say that the Bhagavatam devotees create and imagine someone as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and assign qualifications to him. But actually, so it is not devotees' imagination. But actually it is neither imagination nor an imposition of artificial power in the name of Krishna Godhead. In the Vedas it is said, Bhishasmad vate pavate bhisho deti suryaha. By fear of the Supreme Lord, the wind god and the sun god are acting. Bhishasmad agnis chandrascha mrityur dhavati panchamaha. Agni, Indra and Mrityu are also acting under his directions. These are the statements of the Vedas. Okay, so the wind god, Vayu, the sun god, Surya, and the Agni, fire god, and the moon, Chandra, and the Mrityu, death. All these fives and others, all they are acting under whose direction? Krishna's direction. So these are the statements of the Vedas. Okay. So Mother Devati may ask this thing that you have just said that devotees worship you without worshipping others. Ananya Bhakta, they don't worship anyone, they worship only you. So will the Devatas not being worshipped become angry and give suffering to your devotees sometimes? So the Lord answers, no, everything is under my control. Okay, if they sometimes harass my devotees, I do not delay in removing them from their positions. Immediately I will take action if anybody harasses my devotees. 43. Okay. ज्ञान वैराग्य युक्तेन भक्ति योगेन योगिना क्षेमाय पाद मूलम में प्रविशन्ति अकुतो भयम. वेरी ब्यूटीफुल. ज्ञान वैराग्य युक्तेन भक्ति योगेन योगिना क्षेमाय पाद मूलम में प्रविशन्ति अकुतो भयम. ज्ञान वैराग्य युक्तेन भक्ति योगेन योगिना क्षेमाय पाद मूलम में प्रविशन्ति अकुतो भयम. Jnana with knowledge, Vairagya and renunciation, Yuktena equipped, Bhakti Yogina by devotional service, Yogina the yogis, Kshemaya for eternal benefit, Padamulam feet, may my Pravishanti take shelter of, Akutaha Bhayam without fear. The yogis equipped with the transcendental knowledge and renunciation and engaged in devotional service for their eternal benefit take shelter of my lotus feet, and since I am the Lord, they are thus eligible to enter into the kingdom of Godhead without fear. Okay, so the yogis take shelter of my feet above and by bhakti mixed with jnana and vairagya for attaining the highest benefit. Okay. So yogis equipped with the qualities of knowledge, jnana and detachment, vairagya, they practice the yoga of bhakti with a view to ensure their own auspicious welfare. They take refuge in my lotus feet, which confers fearlessness in them, so which removes and destroys all types of fears. Okay. So that's what Mother Dehuti, when she started asking questions, she asked this only, I want abhayam, fearlessness. So fearlessness is Krishna's lotus feet can provide fearlessness. Abhay Charan. And that message is brought to us by Abhay Charana Aravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Ki Jai. So one who actually wants to be liberated from the entanglement of this material world and go back home, back to Godhead, is actually a mystic yoga, mystic yogi. So the words is explicitly used here are yuktena bhakti yogena. Okay. Those yogis or mystics who engage in devotional service are the first class yogis. The first class yogis, as described in Bhagavad Gita, are those who are constantly thinking of the Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these yogis are not without knowledge and renunciation. To become a bhakti yogi means to automatically attain knowledge and renunciation. Okay, automatically one will get jnana and vairagya if he is bhakti yogi. So that is the consequent result of bhakti yoga. In the Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, it is also confirmed that one who engages in the devotional service of Vasudeva, Krishna, has complete transcendental knowledge and renunciation, and there is no explanation for these attainments. Ahetuki, without reason they come. Even if a person is completely illiterate, the transcendental knowledge of the scriptures is revealed unto him. Wow, what is that? Even if a person is completely illiterate, the transcendental knowledge of the scriptures is revealed unto him simply because his engagement in devotional service. The knowledge will be revealed. You don't have to study. He is illiterate. So, that is also stated in the Vedic literature. To anyone who has full faith, in Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the spiritual master, Guru, all the import of the Vedic literatures is revealed. If you have full faith in Guru and Krishna, automatically all the scriptures will be revealed. Okay, that's the point. Because sometimes it is people read and try their best, but they are not having faith in Guru. They doubt. Guru has said you do this, they will not do it. They will ask why this, that, so many things. They will have doubt. They will not. So for them, the knowledge is not revealed. Yes. Okay. So even if a person is completely illiterate, the transcendental knowledge of the scriptures is revealed unto him simply because he is engagement in devotional service. Ahetuki, without reason they come. Jnana and Vairagya. So that is also stated in Vedic literature. To anyone who has full faith in Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the Guru, the spiritual master, all the import of the Vedic literature is revealed. He does not have to seek separately. The yogis who engage in devotional service are full in knowledge and renunciation. If there is a lack of knowledge and renunciation, it is to be understood that one is not in full devotional service. The conclusion is that one cannot be sure of entrance into the spiritual world, spiritual realm, in either the impersonal Brahma Jyoti effulgence of the Lord or the Vaikuntha planets within that Brahman effulgence, unless he is surrendered unto the lotus feet of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The surrendered souls are called Akuto Bhaya. They are doubtless and fearless, and their entrance into the spiritual kingdom is guaranteed. Okay, so this is bhakti. Okay, so here first Lord Kapila explained pure bhakti. Now here he explained bhakti mixed with jnana. Okay, 44 and the last shloka of the chapter. Etavan eva loke asmin pumsam nihshreyasodaya तीव्रेण भक्ति योगेन मनोमयि अर्पितं स्थिरम् एतावान् एव लोके अस्मिन् पुंसां निःश्रेयसोदया तीव्रेण भक्ति योगेन मनोमयि अर्पितं स्थिरम् एतावान् एव लोके अस्मिन् पुंसां निःश्रेयसोदया तीव्रेण भक्ति योगेन Manomai arpitam sthiram. Etavan eva, only so far, loke asmin, in this world, pumsam of man, shreyasa, final perfection of life, udayaha, the attainment of tibrena, intense bhakti yogena, by practice of devotional service, manaha, mind, mai, in me, arpitam, fixed, sthiram, steady. Therefore, so Lord Kapila is saying, therefore persons whose minds are fixed on the Lord engage in the intensive practice of devotional service. That is the only means for attainment of the final perfection of life. Only means. What is the only means to attain final perfection of life? What is that? It is just fixed our mind on the Lord and engage ourselves in the intensive practice of bhakti, devotional service. The mind offered to me with pure bhakti, with steadiness, alone creates the highest benefit for men in this world. So, Krishna, Lord Kapila is saying, on this earth, the highest auspicious attainment for the humans is this much only, what? That their inner mind through intense yoga bhakti should be consecrated unto me and made fixed and still in me. That's it. Manmana bhava mad bhakto. So this is called Tibra Bhakti. So here the words Manomai Arpitam, which means the mind being fixed on me, are very, very significant. So one should fix his mind on the lotus feet of Krishna or his incarnation. To be fixed steadily in that freedom is the way of liberation. Ambrish Maharaj is an example. He fixed his mind on the lotus feet of the Lord. He spoke only for the pastimes. He spoke only on the pastimes of Krishna. He smelled only the flowers and tulsi offered to Krishna. He walked only to the temple of Krishna. He engaged his hands in cleansing the temple of Krishna. He engaged his tongue in tasting the food stuff offered to Krishna. And he engaged his ears for hearing the great Leela, the great pastimes of Krishna. In that way, all his senses were engaged. First of all, the mind should be engaged at the lotus feet of Krishna, very steadily and naturally, because the mind is the master of the senses. When the mind is engaged, all the senses become engaged. That is Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga means controlling the senses. Okay. So Bhakti Yoga is this, and Yoga means we have to control the senses, and Bhakti Yoga means you have to engage the senses in the service of Krishna. So the senses by yoga means control the senses, but the senses cannot be controlled in the proper sense of the term. Why? Because they are always agitated. So this is true also with a child. How long can he be forced to sit down silently? It is not possible. Even Arjuna said, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna. The mind is always agitated. Arjuna is not able to control. The best course is to fix the mind on the lotus feet of the Lord. Manomayarpitam stiram. If one seriously engages in Krishna consciousness, that is the highest perfectional stage. All Krishna conscious activities are on the highest perfectional level of human life. So thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 3rd canto, 25th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Glories of Devotional Service. Okay, so 25th chapter ends here, and 26th chapter is Fundamental Principles of Material Nature. Okay, where in the 26th chapter Lord Kapil Dev describes the benefits of hearing the subject matter of Sankhya. Actually, this is 26th chapter is Sankhya Yoga. Okay, so here it will be explained Jiva, Prakriti, Purusha, and the interactions and the characteristics and products of Pradhan, how it everything creates, characteristics of time, creation, and characteristics of Mahat Tattva. These all things, creation, Sankhya Yoga, and the elements of material nature. These all things will be explained. And creation and characteristics of false ego, creation and characteristics of products of false ego, and Karya Srishti, creation of the various limbs of the Virat Rupa. And Devatas try to, this Virat Rupa was sleeping, so Devatas will try to wake up the Virat Rupa. All this thing will be explained in the 26th chapter. Okay. Okay, so let us do the 26th chapter tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. So if you have any question and comment, you can ask. You can also give some feedback if possible. Okay, you can unmute. You can unmute now and speak.